Got it. Let's see. Got one more to finish up this week. At least I'll show you what I've got. What is it? Support hanger here. Got part one and two's videos for these up now, so I'll just do the support hanger here. Let me see what we got. This one is inch. Yes, I'll need my inch template. We've got some drafter choice on drawing size and scale that I choose. So using the concepts of orthographic, let's do and I need an auxiliary view on this one. So I've got the PDF here from the textbook, which I've also got the imagery up here for it. I kind of kept it in this orientation. So this is one that I've argued that maybe down the road I might change the orientation of this and how I draw it based off of maybe ASME standard or GD&T standards. This one I'm just going to keep this way as I've done it. I did it last year. Yeah. I just may break the rule on it for stability issues, maybe, or examination purposes. But so I do have this imagery up of this is where I'm going to head with mine. So I'm going to use this as a front view, almost a cylinder. We do a lot of front view cylindrical parts like this. I know this has different ears, so part of me says that's why I haven't totally moved this away from this view. Maybe this is a better stable part position as a front view. So that and that's worth arguing and maybe preferred in some situations that I would reverse these two and have my top view not exactly look like that, but this would be front and top down. Yeah, it'd kind of be a mirror image of this if I did like almost like just flip that thing, mirror image of it and put it as my top view. So that's an option. And I don't care which way you proceed with that, whether you call this your front view and then project the top view from it. Maybe I could call this my front view and this is my bottom view, but really the way I drew it was and so I could argue that point that really what I drew is a front view and a bottom view. Um, I mean, I'd have to make my case for that, but um I'm going to proceed with this as my front view. That's why I still debate this in my head, and I just haven't settled on anything yet as of drawing this again. So let's just do it. I'm going to draw this view first, at least what I can draw of it and project up to this one. So I'll work them both back and forth. So I've got that up. At least I've got this way ahead. I just wanted to have maybe a view for which way to go with your views here potentially, but knowing that I could reverse this and have the opposite, the mirror image of this as my top view. So yeah. I'll leave it for another year to think about it. Um, so I'm over in CAD. It'll be on my inch template. I do not have my inch template open yet, so let me open that up real quick. So I should have my templates here. Inch template. I think I just ended up using a B-size sheet. If I bring them all in, I can choose, but I'm pretty sure I need bigger than an A, but I don't want to use C's anyway. But I'll bring them all in here, and I don't always do this. This is it's inches, right? I didn't. Yeah, it is inch. So I'm in my inch template. Okay. Let's get drawn here. So I've got my imagery up from the text as well. So just a part envelope or my boundary here. Let's do a little math here. I'm gonna make a little note when I do my math if I can't remember what my view widths are, but I'm looking for a height, width, and depth. So um, depth. That's pretty easy. It's a pretty consistent part through thickness there on depth. So I'm seeing this as looking for a dimension of depth this way. 0.75, so it's only 3/4 of an inch wide. Looks like it's through 3/4. Height. Might be hard to tell. I don't know exactly how big this will be, but so I might at least give myself a boundary of the diameter of this. That's the overall, at least this way. And then of course it's going to be bigger as this is bent down, but that is a 1/2 inch radius. We're calling this a radius because it's broken up. And 1/2 inch radius, 1 inch. So I got a 1 inch height at least to get started, and then an overall width. Is it going to be a little bit unknown too? So I think I'll use this as an overall width, except for I'll even add this onto it this way. So this is a radius of 375. So it's 375 from out plus 1.75. So if you don't know what that is, let's do a little calculator work. What is it? 1.75 plus 3.75, 3/8 plus 2 1/8. At least I'm 2 1/8 from center out. And then really I'm also an inch, or sorry, a half inch this way. So maybe I'll add a half inch and at least get my part envelope from the extent of this outer diameter here and through all the way through that. So let's add that half inch on here too. So plus 0.5. Yeah. So 6 3/8 kind of as a width, 6 5/8 or 2 5/8. Sorry. 2 5/8. That's 625.625 as a width. So I'm going to start with those boundaries. This might be math. You have to pull up a calculator to figure out what my boundary dimensions are, and I'm not even including anyway. So I'm gonna have to work this out with my dimensions I'm given. So I'm gonna pull this up on my other screen, keep it handy for me. Yeah, go ahead and get rid of that. And I still think I'll build a nice rectangular boundary. Um, 2.2 5/8, that's 2.625, 2.625. And the height that I have is just one. It's the diameter of that outside diameter. Oh, maybe I'll move this just a little bit closer to the origin. I'm a ways away. It's a small part. Okay. From there, I've got a boundary that I can build for. I'll go up here a couple inches, couple few inches is what I end up doing usually, somewhere around there. Uh, Still that 2.625. And the overall depth here, I decided was just 3/4, 0.75. Yeah. So there's my partial part boundaries, right? Okay. And then I'll start building this out here. So I think I'll start it from that center. I mean, I'm going to base everything off of just this shape essentially. So it's a 1 inch diameter with a 3/4 inch diameter inner bore. I'll just start with that. Got to remember that I have to come over a half inch to establish that. So I might draw some more construction lines here that this is I need to come over here a half inch and then draw this line up. And I think I'm going to put it across a center line as well, across this through this part here. A lot of this is going to be based off this center line, this arm sticking out here to the right. And then, of course, once I get this diameter built, I have an arm that comes off it down into the left. Okay. So let's do some visible work here that I can see. So this is the outer diameter. It's a 1 inch, half-inch radius. I've got another circle that is a 3/4 inch diameter. That would be a 0.375 inch radius. That looks like. And these arms stretch out this way. Not sure the thickness of them is, but I probably will. Looks like it kind of has a step down in it, right? It's got like some thickness, and then it actually is reduced in thickness, and then comes out to the rest of the way. So that's that 1.5 inch at one thickness from the center of this. And so that thickness is point oh, 0.2. So 0.1 would be half of that, right? I'm looking at the thickness of the thickest part right here, 0.2 here. Looks like it maintains that thickness through on this side as well. And it just reduces after 1.5 inches. So I'm going to throw that in there. I'll just use some offset lines. I'll offset this at what? 0.1. So that's one direction and the other direction that way, right? I'll just work on this one, then I'll come work on that ear. That's fine. So what I really have is the dimension I'm given for how long that is from here. It's 1.5 inches. And then that part reduces thickness. I'm just going to draw it through here. It'll change once I establish this other thickness this way here. So there's that. And then I'm going to draw that back. I should have kept drawing back to this point at least. And I'll trim this one through here because really that just is uniform shape. And I'll probably end up trimming some of these in just a minute. Maybe I'll just wait until I trim that after the other part's in there. But okay, so this extends out, and then I'm just going to figure out the thinner piece. It's 0.10, it's 0.05. Yep. So the other thickness is 0.10. I'm going to divide that by 2 and work out from center 0.05. So I'm going to offset this again, 0.05. That's the thickness right here. And so as this line continues on, this is a little bit this is a little bit straight, and then it's kind of in a radius. And then what I'm seeing is radius there. It's rectangular views. So I'm still going to take it out to the end and cap this off there. But that's at a point here, 1.75 out from there is a center line and a hole that goes down through here. And that's kind of this concentric, looks like the concentric nature of the hole and the radius edge of that. So I'll pick up in the top view. So yeah, I think I'm going to work from the center out this other way now. It has some degree measurement, I think 30 degrees. Yeah, so 30 degrees down, and then that 20. So I'm gonna work this from center as well, just like I built this from the center line. I'm gonna do it over here too. Pretty common practice here to work from centers. It's a pretty common way to establish controls as well. So I'm looking for that 30 degrees, which is either, there's 180 minus 30 is 150. And I'm snapping there. Perfect. I don't know how far out this is. Maybe it tells me. Yeah, it's got me. It actually has that dimension, 1 and 3/4 this way. So I could tab over here and say that I'm at 150, then tab back and say that I'm at 1.75, 1 and 3/4. I'm going to keep that as just construction material here. Then I'll offset that. It's the original offset for the thickness, which is 0.1. And then I'm going to slap that there and there. I'm going to trace this back with visible line work. So essentially this one comes from here to that 1 and 3/4 dimension. I'm going to see this edge cap off here, and then I'm going to go back to where it meets there. And then it has kind of a weirded slotted feature with a hole in it as well. In this particular arm, it's got like 2 arms sticking out on this thing. So I think minus my hole features, which I could put in here, or maybe I can project them down. I think I'm going to work them from the top down on the holes, especially the ellipse one, I think. Yep. Well, maybe not. I could put that in here and it could use it to inform my ellipse. So let's maybe do the holes here. I'll maybe go back to my construction line. And maybe this will show up better if I just, maybe for your sake on screen, and I might go ahead and make a new copy already off the get-go here. Sorry, I should have copied that first though. Perfect. Construction 2, I'm just going to change this color. I think it'll show up better. And feel free to manipulate these construction layers however you need for your purposes. But I'm looking for a through hole here and a through hole here, and then maybe a through hole and some other details there. But for sure the through hole. So let's do, it is kind of based off, what am I looking at here? Just the location of these holes given what I was given, which might not be how I locate them, right? We've already learned that. Like, I can't trust these dimensions. Some engineer gave them to me. They're not a drafter. Let's put it in drafting standards. But this is good. I need this. I've got this feature here that I can come back a 1/2 inch and place a hole. I've got that feature there that technically I can come clear over from 1.75 from center to the hole there. And that's a 1/4 inch hole here. Diameter, what is this one? 1/4 inch. So they're both the same holes. So that's nice to know. half inch, and 1 3/4 quarter-inch holes. All right. So I'm going to go over to center. Yeah. So I'm going to go to that layer that I created that's a little different color. It'll cross up good. So here's my line. I'm going to go over here a half inch, right? 0.5. And this is going to be the center line. Might end up turning it into center line or tracing over it as a center line. Probably tracing over it. There's center of that. I can offset this because it is a hidden. So it's a quarter-inch. So I'll offset it 1/8 of an inch. Half of a quarter is an eighth, right? Use your calculator if you have to. Half of a quarter. Quarter divided by 2 is an eighth, 1.25. So I'm going to say it's 1 point, oh, sorry, 0.125, 0.125. This to that. These are hidden lines, so I'll push them to hidden. Sorry, I want the color. Not, I just want to move the layer, not the color. There we go. And match those properties for this hole. There's one hole located. The other one's located from here, 1 3/4. It's the same diameter though, so I might just cursor over there from here maybe. I'm going to cursor over 1.75 is where this whole center is. And the concentric nature of the ear radius. This is where it's radius from here after too. So let's do another offset, same offset. So I shouldn't have to set anything new. Just hit enter in the command. And nope, don't do that. Maybe I'm in the wrong offset. Enter. It's already got 0.125 queued up for us. Match these properties. So I know that that's a hole. Cool, 2 holes. It's incorrect a little bit. Let me drop this down. So the only difference is that I don't have this is a thinner plate here. So maybe if I'm being a little careful here through the actual only through the visible line work. Hidden lines have to be restricted by visible lines for sure. They're not features that are not that would I mean they're not features that would extend past visible. Excellent. Yeah. Still have trim out to do here. I'll turn off my layer when I go to do that. I mean, I'm going to keep it on for just a minute while I finish this other hole location. Oh yeah, what is it? I'm on the other side and maybe I'll size it too. So I've got those two in. Let's look over here. This is a larger 0.2 radius, so 0.4 diameter, double that. Half inch from the end. So they've also located it from the end here, half inch in, you know. Probably when we locate it, I'm probably going to use more of based off of this, my controls being the center lines associated with this cylinder shape and the axis that there. So I'm definitely going to use that as control and probably not pull from these edges. They've pulled some from the control that I like, and some of them have to be angled to do that. So we might break some ASME standards on this too, just for a rough in of this dimensions. But let's see, half inch from the edge, and it's a 0.2 radius. Okay. Half inch from the edge. Don't close it. Let me just move it. I'll use the same layer that I'm on here. When I come up this way, what, 0.5? And do a perpendicular. Got my perpendicular O snaps on somewhere. O snaps. There they are. Perpendicular is really handy to have. Intersections, handy to have. Okay. Offset this. It's the radius is 0.2, so I'm gonna offset at 0.2, just like it reads out in the on the drawing. 0.4 diameter, right? This is gonna be like this, like this. You know, these things, if I pull up my distance, should be 0.4. That should be the diameter, 0.4. Excellent. And we'll just match some properties of a hidden line. Paintbrush this thing over here. Nice. And I've got my centers. So centers are going to be critical, especially for this one, because I'm gonna pull up my centers in order to establish that ellipse center, right? Or at least, or like, yeah, or you could use the other ellipse command and establish the extents of the ellipse, kind of the rectangular shape where the oval fits in, the ellipse fits in. I'll probably pull off center, but all right. Let's project up and away. First, let me do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to turn off that for just a minute and this one for just a minute. Keep that one on, actually. I just need to trim this. This is uniform, so these are, if they were individual parts that were maybe welded on there, if this couldn't be, if this was a constructed part, then maybe they would, I would show these as what I'm going to trim. Maybe I wouldn't trim if they were individual parts. But because it seems like it's a uniform part, like or the surfaces are either ground smooth and what, it still could be multiple pieces built and then made to blend in these surfaces. So I'm just going to trim those out so I can allow that look there. So trim this is what I'm saying. Kind of get those surfaces to blend together like that. Yeah, looks good. Seems pretty all right. I think I will go ahead and put in my center mark on this particular, at least establish that this is definitely my control. So I'm just going to go ahead and initially extend its length before I forget. Good. ASME 0.25. Now I'm ready for my other view, so I'll turn back on my construction layer. Perfect. Might be plenty far and above. Well, I don't know how many dimensions I'm going to have, so this is fine. I'll just use multiple viewports. It was drafter's choice. What does this look like on a B-size sheet? Maybe I don't need to worry about this yet. Let's keep drawing. Okay. I'm going to project. I think I'll use this same layer for my initial projections from to top view. What am I going to project? Well, pretty much everything that I got here. I'm going to want to know this center line up here. I'm going to want to know the extents of this bore here, which is this has a unique relationship that we've been seeing on things like this, where this would have extended out a little further before I trimmed it. But technically, what I'm going to see up on top is the intersection of this surface and where this radius meets. So this is going to be a visible line up top, and the other side will be as well. But I'm already projecting there, and then I'm going to see these other pretty much everything that's right here, right? I'm going to project up the centers first. And I might not do the extents there. Usually when I'm working the other way, if I haven't put this in, I usually work from a visible hole down to pull those in. But where I'm kind of done at this, I'm kind of working the other way on a hole. That's fine. I'm just going to pull the centers up of those holes. And then I think I will be able to establish those across another center line the other way. I'll just make sure that that's truly centered or what their dimension, but I know it's centered. Okay, so this one here, that's where that transition from thin to thick takes place, and we'll see that as a visible line, that difference in one thickness to the other, that surface will line up. Okay. What else? This stuff eventually too. Essentially, this one might be kind of nice to know right now that I need that. This is the overall projection that I never could really figure out until here. There's my, I'll just zap it into the rest there, right? Sure. This one, I'm going to see that before I see this, and this is going to be hidden. We'll come back to that detail in just a second, but I'll just watch it. That this is what's going to be projected over. This one's going to become a hidden projection top, but maybe what I want to at least establish is where this center of this thing comes up here. And then repeat this line to there. So now that's good. So now I have, this is kind of the overall, definitely the overall width. Once I've extended that out, is that never given to me, but I was able to, I pieced it together, and it's probably going to be a dimension that's just nice to know, reference stuff, but not definitely not a critical. I mean, it could be critical, and maybe if I hit my other critical dimensions, it will become, within tolerance, ideally, of what that would be. But I think in order to establish some of these holes, I'm just going to pull up the thing really quick. Just make sure they're on center. I do believe they are on center. I don't see that I see like a location dimension from front or back surface of this. So they've kind of like, they've made that seem as though it is based off the concentric nature of the center line that runs through here. So we're going to say those are centered. So I know what I'm going to want is a center line across this. And I think I have this not where I can, there might be somewhere. Yeah, this one I actually drew. worked as a shorter segment. These projected clear from the bottom, so they don't have a midpoint. This one does. This is the midpoint, and over my other side, I need to snap that line in order for it to stay like that. And then I can extend this, sure. If you don't want to pull things out, sometimes I'm lazy and I'd grab the hot grip. Sometimes I do the right thing and extend, but there that is. Let's put in, I need the inner bore here too. Let's just worry about maybe I'll try to worry about the visible stuff first here, and then we'll worry a little bit about a little more about hidden. So visible, okay, so this is whole center right here. This is good. So we'll move over to visible work. This is a whole center of 1/4 inch diameter, right? 0.125. Need to double check that. 1/4 inch diameter, 1/4 inch diameter, 0.2 radius. Essentially, these two are the same. This one, I'm going to copy it by its center point. Over to this one right here. Okay. This is radiused out here on the end. It's just going to be a full radius of 3/4 because it's just through the thickness of the straight sides as well. So let's do that. I'll say that this is the other one. It should be 3/4 or 375. Yeah. Oh, the overall diameter is 3/4. So something like that with some trim. This makes me nervous. Yeah, something I misaligned here somewhere. Look, look, look. This caught my eye here. This doesn't line up. This overhangs. So I don't like this. I don't know what's going on. I gotta do a little needle in a haystack work here. What went wrong here? Is my center line wrong? Is this width wrong? Let me do some measurement. This should be, I have my 3/4, right? 3/4. That looks correct. This should be um that means in order for this to work, this should be 3/4. That's only 3/8. What do I got wrong here? 1 3/4 to that side. Let me just check my print. 3/4. Then from there, we are a radius of 0.375. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking. 3/4 diameter. Well, maybe my center line. Let me check my other center line. I'm getting, these should be the same dimension from here to my center, 375, as they are from here. Maybe I just snapped funny. Maybe this is snapped funny. I do think it is. Ah, that's my problem. When I copied and pasted that, I just got it off a little bit. So I can move that. I'll move this thing by its center. That even shows it that it's not. There's its center. It needs to be on this center mark. Oh my gosh. That was just found it. Took me a minute. I'm not as far off as I thought. It was just a little bit of a sloppy placement, right? Because this should be where I'm snapping to, and this should be a 3/8 or 3/4 diameter. Now we've got some lineup happening. Good, 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 good. Now I feel better about trimming. Got to zoom in there pretty close and watch for those mess ups that I make. Okay. There it is. And this goes back to where let's work it back to this center here. Let's see. Sorry, I'm messing with my mouse here. Yeah, I'll put in this line and put in this line as solid visible lines. Those will be the extents of the diameter. A great place to dimension that will be up there. It'll be kind of a diameter. It's arguable where it's broken that maybe it's a radius that's correct, but I think a diameter. I haven't pulled up my old drawing. I'll think about it, but here we go. It's for sure here. Well, that's not necessarily, it's not going to work for me actually now that I think about it, because this isn't the true apex of the diameter. Yes, that's where I'll see the visible line, but technically if I'm going to use diameter, I'm going to have to know right to there and all the way across. And I'm not going to have that up. I'm not going to have that as a rectangular view snap option up there because I'm not going to project that up. So it's probably going to be being a radius call out for this particular thing and a diameter here, but I don't have a section of this, so it's probably going to both be called out as leader line type dimensions based off how I'm drawing this. So let's see, this one is the extent of the diameter there. And then we should just see this come all the way back to where we just left off, the radius on both sides, right? Clear to there. Yeah. With this being there. And then what? And then this we should see this draw down. Of course, we've got some hidden line work to come back in detail, but I should see this visible line. And then we've got to put in those features that I can't pick up in the front view. So, but I do have the center of the ellipse started, but I need the extents of the ellipse, the major and minor. So let me first put in the outside. At least it goes like this for a minute. I think I'll work on the ellipse. Then we have this like slotted feature through here. So um, yeah, maybe I'll put that on the other color. I've got this other color construction there. That might be good. So um, extents of the ellipse here. So when we think about this hole right here, what we see is it's where I'm on a foreshortened surface, something that's falling down and away from me here from this point down is falling down and away from me. It's foreshortened. So when that happens, it's going to shorten the diameter of what the hole would normally be as well. So it's going to be the minor axis, kind of the major axis here, longer this way, true length this way. So I just got to remember this is going to be zero point 0.4 um, in diameter or zero point 0.2 out from center for this hole. And I'm going to see this in its true length, and I'm going to see this in its foreshortened length. So I can at least put in maybe a line that represents the radius zero point 0.2 right over the top, right? So this is kind of the the major diameter, the major radius of the ellipse. And then the minor, I don't know either. I'm going to project it up. So I think I'll stay with the pink here. Project up. There it is right here. I'm looking at that surface on the top view, this surface. So I'm going to project that surface up. So let's do that. Yeah, do that again. These are the extents, what I'm calling the extents of the ellipse here, right? So what I've got is the extents. It goes this way and it goes this way. Foreshortened, true length. Let's do it. It's visible line work. And I can either choose to use center, like I have located the center. It's just my nature probably that I lean that way, but can definitely do this one too, axis end, right? So I'll draw them both ways. Maybe here's my center. I choose center first, specify center of ellipse. And then it doesn't matter if I choose the major or minor radius. I can choose either one. So one of them's this way, the other one's this way, right? So that's one way to lock it in there. That's the ellipse that I would see, a zero point 0.4 diameter hole. It's just I love that detail. I don't know why. I just like like and as we piece together the headline work, I just love it. I don't know why. It's just like 3D drawing. I like it. But here's the other method is just axis. So I just follow the command prompts, right? Specify axis endpoint. So the endpoints might be here or here. I could choose either one here. Here's an endpoint right there. And then specify the other endpoint of axis. Okay, I'm going to do this one. And then, oh, I've got to do it across the diameter. So I'm going, sorry, I should know that from its even little picture, right? I got to do the two that are across from each other. And then the last one is the other. They're both axis. So I got to go to this one. I don't have this drawn out. So I've got to go this one to this one. Then I've got one point to drag there. Anyway, I get the same ellipse as the other way. That's great. Both methods work. So if I box that in, I can always use that method. I kind of boxed in where the circle is, the ellipse. I've kind of driven mine from center out. Radius features parts and something of this nature, cylindrical feature, definitely is just center line driven pretty hard for even for layout. So then the next thing I need to know is I'm gonna put in this little line here. I'm gonna do it on this construction layer that's this magenta color here. And I just did that because I'm going to offset this. So what I've got is this slot that comes from there out to the edge. And I think there's a width of slot given here. It's this little slot width here. It's point 10. So it's kind of like 0.05, 0.05 from center out. So I'm going to offset that little line I just drew, 0.05. I've used this dimension before, but it was for down there, a different feature. So there it is. There it is. Maybe I'll trace over that with visible work here and just leave that as it is. So here's my actual slot from here, and then it hits my ellipse, right? Bam, right there. Like that. And technically it gets trimmed out here, right? Like that. Slotted feature. So just turn these off for a minute. Well, and one more cut. And probably some more work here too, actually. Now I'm going to move to the visible. Sorry, I've worked on the visible line work, the surfaces that are, against my face here, or my face is looking perpendicular to them. Eyeballs. So now I need to show the part thickness because of this nature of this, especially on this left side from the center out. I'm going to see the thickness displayed as hidden line work here. So let's see how that will look. And what it does is I might put on a new projection layer to do this. Let me turn mine back on. It's not bad to work with. But yeah, let's start a new one. And I'll think about hidden line work now that I need to document here. So yeah, I'll just make one new one. Back to maybe this color here. Turn that off. Leave on construction 3. Oh, sorry, I want this one on. I haven't done anything with it yet. But I want construction 2 off, I think. Okay. So let's couple things that are pretty easy is I definitely need this inner bore of this from center over. That's going to be a hidden feature, top view. Yeah, just finish that off on there. Hidden line from here to here. And from here to here, that's that inner bore that I would see. See that one lined up with that one, that one, that one. And I'm going to see this and this is hidden right here. Just because this is what I'm showing is visible up top, and that would be, and then this is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to project these on my construction 3 level. So I'll just kind of try to stay focused on the features that don't jump to something else yet till I've dialed this in. But this was one hidden, and this one would also show up as hidden as well, right? And this is going to be really confusing because I think oh, maybe that almost lines up. I mean, just by the nature of the dimensions of the part, I couldn't guarantee that. I'm going to zoom way in. Technically, it doesn't, right? Like that's that. See how close these are. This isn't going to like increase clarity. It's going to cause some confusion for sure. I'll still snap it as a construction line at least originally. Just want to make sure I'm not. I'm going to zoom way in because I can see this is this much difference. I don't know what that difference is. Kind of interested though. Oh man. Oh geez, yeah. 7/10,000ths. Pretty small. Doesn't add clarity. Might add some confusion there. Because what it would look like is I'm pretty sure a hidden line there. Not going to change the color. Sorry, I just want to draw on that layer. This one's for sure is still pretty close to that one as well, but it would be hidden here. And then this other one almost makes me look like I've doubled up my hidden lines. I'll throw it in there. At the distance, you won't be able to tell there's two. Only 7/10,000ths away. Okay. Now I'm going to project up back to my projection of this layer or this, yeah. I'm going to work on the ellipse here. So I've lost my center marks here. Maybe I'll turn them on real quick. I know what I'll do. They're on this layer. And what I'll do is I'll move over to center real quick. I'm going to put them in. I'm going to trace over these. Or I could just I'm on the center layer. Maybe it's easier if I do the center line between these 2 points. Heck yes, I'll do that again. I'm going to repeat this 3 times. I could have done one and copied it, but let's fix that though. 0.12 or 0.25, 0.25. Excellent. Then I'll just fix the other ones with a match. Match, match, match. Okay. Yeah, cool. Then I can turn off that layer again. Now I feel like I'll draw on this layer and turn off this layer. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I've already drawn the ellipse from this surface. Now I need to draw the ellipse maybe on the back surface and the slot too. So let's project these up. I need to know where the back surface, where the ellipse would maybe, so I'm gonna draw this up and across. And I think I'm gonna put in another center line here um, on this layer as well. So that now is like the exit of the ellipse. So it's the bottom surface from what I'm looking at here. And so I can really copy and paste mine over there, right? So I can copy this by its center, which I don't see until I actually choose it as an option. There it shows up. Its center shows up. And this is where the center of the one that's hidden would be like this. So what it ends up being is I see quite a bit. We move over to visible. I'm going to cap these in. I'll end up seeing these as I'm looking down through this, right? These will be visible lines as I'm looking down through, and then this surface becomes hidden right here. So yeah, these edges of that become hidden. And I think we were using break at a point with a gap. So, here's my object. Here's my point. Yeah, I think that worked this time. So, and I just need to break at a point over here. Which one did I break? I broke this one. Is that the one I wanted to break? Yes, that's the bottom one. Don't break the top one. That's a uniform piece there. Break at a point again. Break the bottom one, not the top one. Here's the bottom one. This should be hidden. Now, if I squint my eye just right, I can kind of see that. It's because it's going down and away for me, so that throws that ellipse that other way. Yeah. If you trim the wrong one, it would look, yeah, it would definitely your eyes can, mine can fool themselves easily. And then what else you would see here on the hidden layer is just kind of the extent as it passes through the extent of this, from here to here, quadrant to quadrant is what I'm kind of looking for. It looks like that's where that lines up, which makes sense. That's the center. So it might look like it passes through, right, from quadrant to quadrant like that. So I get that kind of through look. 3D look there. I like it. Yeah, we're heading towards like pictorial 3D land here. I think I'm gonna bump up the destruction of that soon because it's kind of related to this actually. Hmm. Normally be coming at the end of the semester, but I think I'm pushing 3D CAD into the end of the semester. So I need to push some of the stuff that's in the end of the semester up to where we are now. I think we could start drawing pictorial views now that we've started. We kind of have started to do that. The concept is kind of similar. The hidden stuff is making it look 3D. So we need to show the extents of this. So I see that, but I would also see these edges that don't line up now in that top view. I would see those as hidden lines. So I think I can jump back over to my layer here and I say, already got that one showing. That one's visible up top, but this one I don't have any information for. It's that bottom edge that would be across like this. And I think I should put in some hidden like that. I'm missing a line over here, I can tell. I only put in so I think I'm done working this. I'll snap off in just a minute and see. And what I'm missing over here, I think I think I have it drawn on one of these layers. I'll turn them on real quick. The original construction, I'm missing the turn of this surface down, so should see a visible line right there, all the way across right here. That's where it steps down in thickness or height in the front view, but yeah. Let's see. Where are we at? I'm ready to turn this stuff off and just take a good look at it. I think so. I think I've got a cheater up here for you too. That's one reason why I put these up here to see if that's what all I've missed here. So I might zoom in on this a little bit. Crash this. Hmm. Not really helping my image as much as it's helping. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've got that wrong. That should be broken through there. I should have that hidden line shouldn't go clear through. I'll have to check mine. I thought I did mine in two sections. And I've got that shown, I think, correct. Yes, that looks right. I've got a couple double lines here. I've probably got two stacked up unless I didn't drag it up. The inner bore. Yeah. Got a center line all the way down through. That's nice. Kind of shows the line up horizontally there from hole to hole through piece and through even the radius features and the slotted feature on the other side. So that's pretty good center line to have clear through. Then each one has its own centers. Probably drug out that long because of dimensions associated with them, my guess. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's just ASME off the edge, but let's see. And I blended this surface. I didn't show it as that. So I might check that to make sure that it shouldn't have a line or does. I'll look at the other part. Yeah, I think I'm looking at the same stuff here. It's probably, yeah, I think so. Zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, this is more correct. Okay, it's all right. Um, yeah, I think just some center line work, which I've already started to take care of here. Let's do that. All right, let's see. What are they gonna do? I was gonna do some center lines. I might turn on, which layer do I have some information on already? This one maybe? Yeah, maybe even this one too. Sure, I'll trace over these center lines a little bit. At least this one. I just want to trace this over all the way through and beyond. Like that. I'm gonna put the front center line on here. Not the back center line. I'm gonna put the front center line through at least this is the front center right here. There's the front center. Um, if I don't pull this to a dimension, I'll retuck this maybe. Um, I'm actually going through the outside edge here, and maybe I could tuck it in 1/4 inch off here. So we'll just see. I mean, technically, that's what I should be here, right? Like a 1/4 inch. That would work. Okay, I'll do that. We'll do it the correct way. Back to its actual feature. That's actually what the feature is. There we go. Here I can use center mark, so I'll probably just do a center mark. Mark it, mark it. A little bit redundant. Maybe I'm changing my mind on that. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but copy that over from its center from somewhere anyway that I can snap to. Let me grab a good grip. That one, I like it. To that grip. Okay. One more. I'm gonna copy that one more time. I want this one again by this shirt right here is fine. Over to the center line of the board this way, right? I gotta have a through center there. Center, XX. Good. Oh, I just wanted to look at the part there and that. Yeah, I do think it's blended there. So I'm gonna trim that here. So I'll turn off my construction lines again. Looking down here that this technically should probably be trimmed right there. Yeah, have a blended surface, still solid line up top. Good. Yeah, I like this. I think I'm ready to do like a projected view and kind of dial that thing in before I start dimensioning. I think I got a good start ready here. Okay. So another one that's gonna be nice to project from. What do I got? Well, how much information do I have on here? That's construction layer 3. Yeah, maybe I'll use that. I don't know. Got it built. So this is gonna work pretty well for snaps, right? Jump over to that construction layer real quick. That one. I'm gonna build an auxiliary view. I just built it here. Yes, you could pull it off the bottom too. So um, and then I can move it as needed. But here I'm just gonna go so it's 90 like this, some arbitrary length. Yeah, if you want to be careful doing that, you can be like if I know I'm going to that grip, but it has bit me before, right? I could tab over and say that's 120. Sorry, 120. And so it doesn't change from there to lock it in. And now I can't really pull it out of alignment that way, right? But I can pull it out arbitrarily long. That's no specific length, just out. Let's do that again from this point here. So I'm going to do a partial auxiliary view here too. So maybe I'm going to say tab that over in 120 and tab it over. No, I can't pull that out. Oh, just somewhere like that. So I'll build this part over in here. Yeah. So I think I'll offset this line. How far? I don't know. Like maybe there's a midpoint that I can grab of something. It must be the midpoint of that line. Yeah, maybe there. And then I'm gonna offset this line like that. Sure. That's no. I could use that as a center. I could use that as one of the edges. I don't know yet. If I use maybe I'll use that as the far edge and I'll build it back this way. So the width of this is the same as this. This is actually depth that I'm thinking of. The depth is 3/4. So if I offset again, 0.75 specifically, this line. That's really my object width there, right? I can probably leave that as object line or visible line work. Here we go. Yep. From here to here. And then maybe we can go back to projecting there. Maybe the extents of the hole or the center of the hole. I think center of the hole. Let's do center. And then let's do, since I put this line in, I'm going to pull off the midpoint through this way. Like this. Yeah, there's center of hole now. So I'm doing visible work. This hole is 0.2 in radius or 0.4 in diameter. And I think this is a 0.05 offset for this slot that is 0.1. Supposed to be 0.1. Yep, looks good. I think I'll trace over that from here to here back to the hole, and from here to here back to the hole. And then we're gonna do a little trim, right? Trim. That seems to be the ear. I think that's it, right? I like it. Heck. Now we'll just have to see how it fits on a, turn that off for a minute. To see how that fits. That's it. Partial auxiliary view of that. Definitely shorthand for my CAD manual. Um, yeah, I'll start establishing some dimensions here. So I need to look at it on a sheet. So A size sheet. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of interested. What is this? Unlock it. Is that a 1-to-1? There's my parts. Probably set up to make multiple viewports, but it probably would fit okay at a half scale. A little bit small. Anyway, I'd want to be bigger than, and I think it's gonna be too big at a 1. It's close to, it probably would almost work at a 1-to-1 on this. And maybe the vertical sheet's better. Hold on, I'm gonna lock that down. before I leave it. I don't like to leave viewports unlocked. With some creativity, I could probably get to fit. I think I'm going to maybe make it bigger on the other sheet. I mean, this is almost fitting 1 to 1. I'm just going to leave that there. Move to the next B size sheet. Here it is. This is also at 1 to 1. I'm going to take this off. Yeah, this actually fits here, and this, I could probably just run to town and dimensional this out, and it looks small in my print, but really it's probably still a good printable size and legible when I would print it, even at 1 to 1. Maybe I'll make it bigger, complicate my life. Yeah, it's all right. Complicate my life with viewports. Oh yeah, these are these bad viewports. I'll delete it. I'm gonna move over to the viewport layer real quick that I never do. I never remember. Add a viewport uh, down here. Yeah, what I want to know is 2 is going to be too big, I think. Double size. Look at it. It probably says what scale it was at before. Probably a 1.5 scale. I don't know. What did I get? Yeah, it is 1.5 to 1. 1.5 scale. I think I'm going to shoot for that about. I can just, this is a good size on a B size sheet. It's too big for A size. 1 to 1 on this sheet's probably still legible with the dimensioning, but I don't know. Why not do a different scale, right? 2's close to, but maybe just a little bit too big. I don't know if I could fit top, and so let's do a new scale. Let's make one. It's a custom. It's like I always say, it's a big jump from 1 to half scale, and it's a big jump from 1 to 2 times scale. I think there's a lot of stuff I wish they'd preload me that would be better, but I need to add a scale. Maybe I'll just keep mine as a decimal, 1.5 as a ratio, a decimal ratio, 1 to 5 to 1. It'll fit in my, I'm just sticking with the same format, 1.5 to 1. That means the paper units are um, 1.5. I think I can use that same, I can use decimals there. Kind of have to, I can't really select it till I get back out of it here. Now I can select it as a size. I don't think it actually recognized my selection here. I didn't see there it is. There's a 1.5 size. Sure. I think that's going to look good. Before I forget, I could jump in here and say, don't forget to always update your scale with the correct. Or change that if I do end up changing it. Okay, so I think in this viewport, I might try to get, I don't know, I can't get them all. That's okay. I wonder if I can get this and this though. And get these two placed if this is too far or not, or if I have room. I don't know. Maybe I don't have room. Here's another viewport that's going to be top view. Top view at 1.5 scale. Lock that in. Lock this in real quick too. I'm gonna drag this down. I got a ways I could drag down here. I think I might need to be up a little higher than that to dimension, but we'll see what I chop off when I start working. If I have to build a new viewport for that, I will. Let's start dimensioning. It's kind of what I'm gonna. It's mostly features of size of this that I'm trying to dimension here anyway. So let's go in and start dimension. Yeah. Keep it going, or should I make a part 2? I don't know how long I've been going. Or how long it's gonna take me to finish. Now let's just keep going. It's gonna be one video. Let's get this thing dimensioned. Dimension this. Overall width. Sure, maybe it's not the most handy dimension. Definitely gonna interfere with that. That's okay. I'll just plan ahead right now. Let's just do it. I'm gonna It's kind of how I've been doing mine. Been making a copy of this layer here, right? My visible layer. Maybe I call it my ghost layer, but it's probably a unique. Didn't mean to do that. I wish I would undo whatever I just did. Good. I want to actually copy that. Copy it. Copy the layer. Paste it. Call it clipped or ghosted. You can name it whatever. You can name it nothing if you don't want to, but something is better. I just don't want it to plot. I have to be careful whatever I copy that if I do or don't want it to plot. I'm going to make a copy of this. On my normal object layer, let's make a copy. This. If I get up in there, I don't know if there's many dimensions. I just need to get away a little bit. I don't know if this is far enough, maybe. Or should I go way a ways? Yeah, maybe let's go way a ways. Copy. I'm gonna keep it in this orientation, but so I'll just drag it along this projection here, but maybe I'll get it out of that top view area too, just somewhere out in space here. And then I'll zoom in on that one. This one I'm gonna change layers to the one that I can turn off and ghost. Right, that one. Gone now. Okay, now it's not interfering with my dimensioning ability. Good. Then I'll have to add a viewport on the other when I get to it. So let's keep dimensioning though here. So I've got that overall size. There's an overall height then too, right? So overall height would be something that's equally kind of worthless, but nice to know maybe. Good for a quick spot check of grabbing a part, but maybe not anything I'd want to hold my part specifically to potentially. And then I need the overall depth of this part. So where's that going to go? I don't know. This way or this way? Sure, let's just go. Oh, I might choose this one just because it's flatter and the other one's kind of an angled profile. It's the same dimension, and I show that just by my vertical or my horizontal lines, but I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking that part is actually sitting to me and the depth is 0.75. So there's overall height, width, and depth. So now we can just tell the nature of those aren't great dimensions. So let's get some better dimensions. So let's think about this and break down the shape of this part piece by piece. So I don't miss something. Try to stay on task so I don't, let my squirrel mode kick in and be like that. I need to mention that. And then pretty soon I forgot what I did and didn't complete when I think of size and location. So I'm going to methodically chip my way through here with this cylinder shape kind of being my primary driving a lot of dimensions from where its bore is located. I mean, I have good surface to locate as well. That's why this is a pretty good argument for like a front view because I'm laying down on this nice flat surface that is technically I could pull dimensions from it. Maybe I'm already doing that. I'm pulling from a front or back here, or at least a dimension to itself, but I'm probably going to end up pulling that off center. And so I think I'm going to establish that center of parts really going to be my control versus either side. So I'm thinking that this is definitely a pretty powerful control to base datum to base dimensions from. And likewise, the cross down below is going to be a pretty powerful control as well. Um, so I think I already mentioned this. This is the diameter here. I really can't get a diameter on this thing. Um, and it is a partial circle. It kind of shares the same surface as the arms that kind of come out the side. So I think this is a good candidate that somebody could also argue with me that maybe radius is not the best dimension. So I'm thinking size of this right now. So I'm thinking size of this. I'm not going to call it a diameter. I could see that maybe somebody would, and maybe somebody could convince me that I should. Um, but it's got a radius of that. I'm just doing it because it's technically a broken. I'm not going to pull it here in its rectangular view because it doesn't. That's not the true length. There's the hidden the hit. If I show this here, let's just dimension this. Dimension. If I think that, if I think, oh, I should be able to pull my dimension here, well, then it should be 1.5 inches, or it should be a 1 inch diameter, but it's not. See, it's because I've got kind of some foreshortened stuff going on here, or not really. It's just that this ear on the right side actually uh, kind of consumes the real extent of that diameter. So it's a radius. So because this doesn't work for me, it's not going to be something I'd pull in the rectangular view. I mean, I would tempted to do that, but I have to just stop and say I don't quite have that displayed in the top view. So I'm going to call it a radius 1/2 inch. I'm going to call the inner a diameter, and I don't have that anywhere unless I had taken a section. This would be a good argument maybe for that this is that's what when I really look at this, I think maybe if this is front view, then I would do a section, a horizontal section through this and have that be my pretty powerful view to dimension with inner diameters exposed in the rectangular view. No, it'd be circular there still. So I'm actually still kind of dimensioning the same thing here. So maybe there's an argument that's not. I go back and forth, right? You got to make decisions. Oh, let me tell you one of my favorite quotes. This is good advice here. This is you got 3 decisions in any situation. Get the right decision, the wrong decision, and no decision at all. Now, this is paraphrasing. It's Teddy Roosevelt, though. I should look up. At one time I memorized the full quote, and it's actually better in its full form. Three choices in any situation: the right, the wrong, and no decision. And what I like is the worst one of them all is to make no decision. So, if I make the wrong decision, I'll just have to revise my prints. If I make no decision, that's the worst. So I'm going to make a decision. This is going to be diameter right here. So I'm going to make it. What I'm saying is I make a decision that I'm sticking with this view. So here we go. One of my favorite quotes. I mean, where am I going to put it? I don't know. I'm going to put it as kind of lesser. I think of this as like, uh, this is the outer diameter. This is the inner diameter. It's on top. It's on bottom. You don't always have to think this way. That's actually why I oriented that way. Just a brief thought. Okay. Outer, inner, radius, diameter, sized. Located, I'm going to say it's located. I'm going to call this the location of it. This is it's not any specific coordinate point, but that's what I'm going to locate that size based off of. This is the center axis of that essentially. So that's at least its size in this view. Let's look at the size of it in the rectangular view of it. There it is right there. Well, the size is that. Sweet, I've got it. The only thing is I might not size it unto itself. I might leave this size, but I might say, well, I'm going to locate it too off this other horizontal. So I'm going to add this dimension from center to this way in this orientation. So I'm thinking that as a location. So it's kind of like that maze I build. Here's my control. I go 3/8 over from control, and then this thing is 3/4 of an inch wide based off that. So I have to worry about decimals. We should start worrying about that here. Pretty soon we'll start worrying about tolerances and stuff, and our decimal places are going to definitely factor in. If the if that's 3/8, that means this cannot be 3/8. If that's 7/5, it's different. We've talked about that a little bit. We need to think about it sometimes when if our dimensions are making sense. Maybe it's something I'll think about last. I'll snap that and move on, but because it's kind of the final dimension on the size of that cylindrical shape, features of this part. I feel like I've kind of sized and located it now. Now I'm going to move maybe to the right here. I'll worry about the shapes that are associated with the part right here, their size and their location. First, just their general size, outer profiles, visible line type work, and then I'll think of their features of size, like the holes are features of size that are associated with this little arm part here. So first, I'm just going to worry about the overall lengths. And what do I have? Well, I can kind of think point to point coordinate wise here a little bit, like it's going to be X and Y values in a little bit. So let's do that. I would have, and I'm thinking that if this is my control, so if I'm thinking in the X direction here, that what is this dimension to this little point where that begins? And that's 0.49, okay? Come over from control 0.49, and then how far over do you go? Well, you go over to this point. Okay, so let's do that. From this same top dead center here to there. What's this one? Okay, it's 0.15. Great. Make myself some room here, right? It's gonna get a little bit busy. Zoom out. Looks like I got room to work with. I don't know what my viewport looks like. Probably gonna have to worry about it, but I'm not I'm not sold on these spacings anyway yet. That one, that one. And then I've got clear out to the end already, but not from there. I've got it from there. So I'm going to add an additional dimension here. So I want it to know from control out to the outer profile here is this. I think so. I think that's great. That's kind of I do view this shape as somewhat rectangular, right? Like it's got this height and this width. Really, I'm taking care of the width. I haven't worried about the height yet. So this thing is kind of rectangular in my view. And so I think of it, I know it's got two stages of rectangular. That's why I've got additional dimension there, but I've got height and I can do the width here, and then I've got depth up here. So it's three dimensions. And then when I get up here to evaluate, I'm like, well, yes, it's rectangular, but it's also got a feature to the rectangular nature here to be able to size as well. So I'm going to locate this though in this direction in the Y direction. I'm going to locate these. I'm going to locate the heights. So I think I'm going to locate it off this control. So to me, I'm going to pull this control through these parts like this. Now I've got this control point to dimension from. And so I think I'm going to take and dimension for the other kind of coordinates of those, which is in this direction, here to here, right? Which I can pull clear out to here. And then, I mean, it's just a little 10 point, that's that one. That might be the outermost one here. And of course, I pulled it from the wrong point. I'm going to tuck this back to actually where that, if I'm pulling it to the right, I'm going to pull that back like that. And this one, I think I kept at the right point. Yep. That's that point and that point. So that's cool. I've got two taken care of with a location now. Point 10. That's more of a location. I should think of the size first. So if I think of size, it would be like this from here to here, right? That's a size. And I can use, maybe I'll pull this one above and beyond, or I don't know what the orientation of these two will be, maybe like this. But I've got a size, but since essentially I'm driving like it's 0.1 and then it's like 0.2 in size. So it's kind of like that maze that I follow from control. It's kind of size and location. Maybe I need to do that here on this point. Of course, yeah, this point and this point now. So the size, maybe I should think about the size first, just because it's size and location when I say it. There's size. It's a different 10. It's not this 10. That's different. That's a location. This is size. Here's location. Sorry, here's size. And now here's going to be location, right? From here to here. And if I don't like this, I could go either way of center. I don't have to go up like I've done. I could go the other way. I'm coming off center, so it doesn't matter if I'm pulling up or down in this case. It matters when if I've established this surface as my control and I'm pulling up, then that matters. Or if I've established this one and I'm pulling down. But when it comes to a center line as a control, I can go up or down, and I'm still based off that center line. So it's not. I like that. Helps me space dimensions and keep them clean. So I don't know how this is going to clean up, but that's what I needed there. Those are size and locations of this rectangular arm here. And I just need to worry about it's only 2D, right? That's like a X and Y. Now I need that depth locating and size probably. So I'm going to jump up here and look at it. I'm going to say like, okay, cool. This is this little feature from here out. Well, I've got a size associated with that. And then I've got this location kind of associated with that. So that's cool. I've got that going on. Maybe that is what I view this is that it's the dimension, that it also consists of. Yes, it also kind of looks like a diameter. And I might be tempted to put a diameter sign with it, but I'm not, because I'm thinking of these actually also representing the front to back through this rectangular area, their size. So I feel like I've at least got their size and located, but what I don't have is the size of this. And I think I missed this on one of my other videos too when I was thinking about a rectangular kind of part, but then it has a radius. I need to remember to put that radius on there. This one here, right? Maybe I'll just pull it through like this. Radius. And it's really locking down its own location with this dimension. It's kind of that's doing some double duty work here. Working through the rectangular section and working through the ear that's rounded, the outermost area here. The only thing I really haven't located is maybe where this starts from another control that would be in my area here. So I think I now I'm ready to locate this. I've sized it. Let's locate it. I'm going to locate it from this bore center. This is going to be my master locator up here, I think. My master datum control here. So let's let it control these dimensions. I want to know then from this to where this radius. I'm not thinking of the hole at all. I'm thinking of this radius. So I need to know here, right? And then that's going to be a location for the radius. It's going to do double duty as well. I'm going to pull it out there. Location. I feel like I've captured this arm. I just need to look at its features of size. And then I'll go over here and do this arm and its features of size. So whatever so these are features of size associated with this. And even this is potentially, whatever that's going on here, the shift in. Maybe I'll address this first. I think I already have though in my bottom view. Like it's not going to be anything that's not different than 7.5. That's the width of this feature, depth of this feature, interchangeably. Use these words wrong. And then I've also located it here, kind of X and Y. So I have addressed it. So I'm okay. I'm moving on. Moving on to the holes. They're the same. They're even on the same. This is a great call out for just two of those holes. So I'm going to say, let's size them, size them, size them. There's the size. 1/4 inch diameter. They're the same size, both of them. So, and they're on the same feature of this part. And so I think this is a safe 2x call out. I got two of these features of size holes that are 0.2 in diameter. And what's their location? Well, their location. Well, in this location, they're on center. They're on my center control. So that's great. They're kind of located by center lines there. In the X direction, what are they located? Well, I got to pull those dimensions, I think. I got to dimension this. And I could do that here. Like I do have options to say this is the same kind of control. This control and this control could be viewed as the same. So I could pull those dimensions right here to their center lines. That would be fine. Or I can pull them here. It looks like I'm kind of busy here when I got some cleanup to do. So maybe, and it looks like I've got room to work with here. So that's my selection is driven by what room I've got to work with. But I need to know this one. And I'm actually gonna tuck that in just a little bit. And then I need to know this one to the other hole. And that's kind of how we locate those, right? Size, and then it's going to need to probably be an XY kind of XY location dimension. So I've got them. This thing's doing more duty. I've even put more features of size related to that dimension. It's a pretty powerful dimension. Okay. Sized and located. Moving on. Moving on up to the left. Well, I don't have great things to pull in the top view on the left side. I just don't. I mean, like if I pull these dimensions, they're foreshortened. A lot of them, they're kind of worthless to me. They're not something I want to base control off of the part size off of. So I don't love like pulling dimensions over here. I've already got the width and it's a through width. So I've already kind of handled its width or depth. Sorry, excuse me, depth, because it's my top view. It'd be your height if you drew it as your front view, but either way, I don't need to duplicate that over here. I'm gonna let this one do that work. Single dimension, don't double dimension that one. And so I'm going to move down to this say and be like, well, cool. I do have some good. It's going to be a line dimensioning, right? And maybe it'd be better to go point to point like we did. It gets pretty busy when we do that. I would pull all these dimensions from that to this control here, point to point to point, and then maybe from down point to point to point. That's a legit way I could do that. Rectangular that point to point XY dimensioning to locate, where those transitions of this part take place. But I think I'm going to do an align. I think I'm going to do some align dimensions and do it more of a, this is where my industry hack method comes in. That's kind of more clear, but just I'll think of it, I'll keep it in mind that I could do point to point, and I should just do it and then undo it and then show which one's cleaner. But Essentially, what I might want to know is I think I want a center line through here to control from because I'm going to establish maybe its length in this is true length that I'm looking at here, where I'm not looking at it here in true length. So this definitely for align dimensions, this is going to be, I think I'm going to pull what I'm saying is I'm going to pull this center from here through part. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to kind of act, this is going to be my standard extension there, but it's going to act as a basis of where I can also pull some measurements from. Maybe it's another datum, but maybe it just gives me some relation back to the center bore axis here, this common point here. I think the first dimension I'm going to pull when I think of this is similar to how I've done it over here. I think I want to know its overall, and maybe I'll drop these underneath. So maybe I'll drop these. Well, they relate to and I got my view up there. Yeah, maybe I'll pull them above. They're going to be in between what I'm saying is I got this dimension, got some crisscross going on there, and crisscross applesauce. I might decide to pull that the other way. One of the downfalls of an aligned dimension like this is because of this kind of ugliness that is now arising here, right? Like it makes me want to get this thing out of there. It just causes further complication. And if I pull that, I just need to make sure that's actually one I can easily pull. I know I've got some cutting to do through there, but I'm going to have that one. Well, let me see how many dimensions I have, and then I'll decide if I want to do that. Maybe I'll undo that. I got some zooms I'm going to undo real quick. Just leave it there for a minute. I'm not gonna totally bail on it yet, but there's one kind of an overall from kind of center bore control over to there. Gotta watch this. Gotta tuck this up to the object. Oh, that's one that I'm gonna have to watch, huh? Yeah. So I've got to establish maybe here's my cheat method for align dimensions that pull weird on you, right? I just go to my dimension layer. I cheat with just a regular line out here. This is on plane here. I'm going to pull it kind of long. It's going to be a basis for like pulling some dimensions, I think. Um, I'm going to go to center and pull this one this way, though. I'm going to pull this as a center line dimension this way. So I'm establishing a couple more centers. I'm able to pull this perpendicular here. Technically, I want it the other way, though. I'm going to actually pull this dimension. Really, this is where it exits that right there to perpendicular here, right? I think I escaped my command before I dropped it right there to right here, and then I'll pull it in alignment. Now I can actually drag and drop that. Yes, I don't have, and then if I'm really being kind of picky here, I might pull this away 0.0625, like it would be if it was a real just extension dimension. Uh, that dimension line that I drew on the dimension layer has the same line weight as the extension line, so it can kind of fool me. It makes it a mess when I have to go in and modify these dimensions a little bit, but I'll be savvy to it once I see it like that. Okay. I think I'm just going to pull from that side. I'm kind of pulling from the bore, like the radius. So I kind of feel like I am like not really establishing a new datum. I'm actually just pulling from that, like where this bore would be going away from me here. And I would have that like through bore center line is where I'm pulling these dimensions from. I know they're aligned and kind of breaking that rule, but they're pulling from a good control here, right? Like this one. Maybe I need a a dimension line off this one here so I can establish those points and maybe, yeah. And maybe the whole location, even from here, is maybe better than from my auxiliary view and coming from that edge. Yeah, I think so. I think this is a good argument that I'm going to go um, back to my home layer. I'm on this. I got to go back to my dimension layer. I should have thought to make a part two of this video. They get long once you're doing it all in one. Just like this. It's another kind of mock extension line, right? With a little 0.065. That's 1/16 of an inch. That's what our dimension style with when we snap a dimension is made to offset from the object edge when we snap our dimensions. So that's why it automatically is creating those similar spacings. But what I'm pulling here now is potentially perpendicular here, right? Off that bore. That's how far that is. That matches that. That's pretty interesting. It's the same scenario. Yes, it's tilted at 30 degrees, but these two dimensions should match actually. So that's a good sign. My thing is symmetrical. So I've got that point, that lines up with that point, and I've got that point, and that lines up with that point. And then maybe I'm just going to base these thicknesses off that center line as well. That's definitely a new datum coming out that way, like a new plane of symmetry here. So it's kind of how I like to pull some of these widths though, right? Like if I think of this width of this, it's like here. That's a size dimension. And then maybe I'll do a location dimension. Off this datum. Size and location. And I've got the width already covered up here, right? That's it. It's covered right there. So I've got it sized. Really, its overall size is this one, and this one, right? That's the ear size. And then its location a little bit is like this one, and that kind of starts there as a location. And really, this kind of doubles as a location as well. And this one is a location off kind of a new centerline datum potentially. And then this one's functioning as a location kind of on this side too. So I keep highlighting that one. It's powerful. So the last, now I need to look at its features, the features of size with it. Well, it's more complicated. It's got its features of size are kind of a hole and a slot. So I've got to think of those. And so I really don't need any peripheral dimensions around this. I think I've already kind of captured what they would be. I might have to do some math to get them, and one of these might be more critical than the other. And so, it wouldn't be wrong when I'm in this orientation here to say, well, what's this dimension from here to here? Because the math isn't great, right? It's not great math. Like this is where that might end up. I'll leave both of these. They're not double dimensioning. They're a little bit chain dimensioning going on here. And it's that situation of which one is which one, if I knew the part better, which one is going to be a reference dimension and which ones are going to, probably two are going to be critical and one's going to be a reference. I don't know that yet, so I'm just going to leave them all as like this. And this saves somebody from having to, this is where I always talk, like if I have to do the math, maybe this is a nice to know dimension. The same could be said over here, right? Like I'm making that argument over there, and I can make the same argument over here that means this would be a nice to know dimension because the math isn't super lovely. You just make sure I pull it right. It's going to be from here to here. Yeah, it's like that, which makes sense. That plus that equals that. Yep, sure does. One would become a reference of this situation. This is a trifecta, but one of them is going to become a reference. And I could add this too. It's definitely going to look chainy dimensioning, but I don't think I'll chain it to these. What I'm saying is maybe this is a nice to know dimension as well, but I'd probably chain it up here to that one. And it's because I look at the difference of these two. I look at the math associated with this, and then this kind of helps me. And then ultimately what I would do is make one a reference. So I've got this combination going on here, and I've also got this combination going on, and I need to determine if this is control, and that's probably going to be, anyway, yeah. We don't know, but our dimension sets are ready to be like, okay, cool. I'm covering them. Once I knew the parts, this is something I could do ahead of time. Like I'm going to get all my dimensions. I'm going to mentally know that I've got a few that are redundant-ish, or they just need to be turned into reference dimensions. And so, maybe I'm going to have some part discussion after I get a lot of drafting done and be like, just so you know, I need to determine what's the most critical, and then we'll decide that and make the some less critical in this assortment of dimensions that I have. Okay, so I think so that was just me backtracking a little bit and adding a couple dimensions because I added them here, or sorry, here. I think that's good. They're odd dimensions coming out there. So I think I've determined I'm going to pull this from that center axis as well. I think it's the best control for this dimension for here to here, right? So I'm going to add another dimension line for this in this orientation. I'm going to pull it kind of long. I'll show you how I fix those in a bit once I start cleaning up, but I just need to be able to reach out with this dimension from its center here out to here perpendicular, right? To where that hole is located. And then, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure I don't, this is probably going to be one of the more intermediate dimensions there. I know I got a little crisscrossing too. I might choose to throw some of these to the underside for clarity's sake. At least I've got them captured. Okay. And now what I'm starting to do is dimension the features. That's actually a location dimension. So I should have probably worried about its size first, this features of size. So let's go look, size, location. Size would have been here with that, what I just did on a location, but size right there, size. Let's size it. Is it a radius? Is it a diameter? It's not a full circle, so I'm going to call it a radius. Radius. Sized. R.20. What's its location? That's 1 right there. Location. 1.25 from the center bore over to it. That's a good dimension. What's its location here? Well, I could call it already located. There again, it's located without a single dimension. It's already located. I've drugged that center line through so that dimension can apply. So it's kind of located in X and Y. I'm still going to put a center mark on this thing. Um, right? So if I go back to my center layer, one thing I'm kind of missing here while I'm looking at it is the center mark. It'll be, and I'm going to go ahead and do its extensions. And then I'm going to rotate that thing into alignment. Locate it from its center. And what am I going to hook to? I'm going to hook to that snap there. Okay. So now that's kind of that's the radius size and location. I like it better. I guess I like my locations over here. I know it's 3 different views. There's size, location, location, but that's all right. It's where they appear in their true lengths and from a good datum, but versus like pulling from here. Like I did that, I did that. I would have had to maybe move the datum. I'm gonna keep it over there on that bottom, this view here. I like this dimension the best for that location. And this one. Okay. Slot. Size it. Well, this is the only place it appears where I can do it. I could size it here. This isn't a bad. This is its true width here. And I guess maybe this datum represents that. If I especially if I pull this out like this, like technically these datums, I could pull out like this and establish that this one that runs this way is this one here. It's just in its other view form of it, but there it is. So I feel like I can locate off that pretty well, or size off it really. So here's the size, right? The size is from here to here, but that's a size unto itself from that's the size slot width. It's kind of like a key way in some ways. I'm going to dimension this way too from a control. So that's a location, size of slot, and then location here, size and location. Those two numbers jive together really well too. That's half of that. So that's cool. Size and location just through towards tangent there, cuts through wherever this point one slot gets established, it's going to drag through here. So you'd wonder, do I need to do that? Probably not. I probably don't need to know that length. There might be an argument where I would need to have it, and I'm not going to put it in though. The length of that, and maybe it's confusing of why I don't, but I feel like it's going to self-terminate when I come from this edge and hit that hole. So um, yeah, if this was machined, trying to think if they would do the hole first and then cut the slot to the hole, and it would self-locate that length, self-size and self-locate. And maybe it's not critical. I just need to cut it through to there. Anyway, that might be all I put in there. Size and location of these features, size and location. Yeah, I don't see it there because it would just cut through. Oh, I could get kind of, I don't know. Let me just do one little. I think this is which did I put? Yeah, right here is where I've kind of got that. I know I pulled that out, but what I'm looking for is maybe one more just reference here. So if this gets cut here, and I extend it down through here, so I should do that on that projection layer I just turned on. This one here. I know I'm driving. I know this was off my other one, but see, this would come through here, and am I thinking right here? When I would look there, I would see those edges and I wouldn't see the slot edges. So this is maybe something I need to adjust this. So this is technically the whole diameter, but I think I'm going to move this over there. This is still the correct placement of the center line for sure. I use that diameter to establish it, but I might change this to construction one work. Like this. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to move it over. I don't know if construction one is where I really drew that or not, but it's over there now. It's gone. And then I'm going to trace over this with a hidden line of where that slot really ends, right? Right here. That's the visible line that would become hidden in my view there on that edge. Yeah, not the apex of the hole diameter. It's actually in a little bit further. Yep. Okay. Now are we close? Well, we got a mess to clean up, so let's start that process here. Um, no right or wrong. This is going to be a pretty easy one to clean up. So is that one. This one's the mess. So let's work on it. And most intermediate dimensions. Yeah, this one here for sure. So I'm going to pull this down. Maybe just kind of spot check that. Say this is going to be my 0.375. This one's going to line up with that one. I'm going to do a kind of chain these together, but knowing that one's becoming something else. These ones, I have a feeling I can just get out of this area, maybe come down here. So just prove to be kind of a poor position. That's kind of like vertically stacked. So I might keep dragging this one around a little bit more to the other side of that. Yeah, like something like this. That's good. Might just pull this one out a little bit. Something like this. I'm gonna redo it just so I don't love that it's like I'm arcing it over across that gap. So I'm gonna redo that radius now that I've decided I'm gonna point it out over on this particular part of that radius. There we go. That's clean. Don't cover up my visible line with the extension line if I don't need to. Yeah. This one's going to come down. Sorry, this is going to come down and stack up with this one like that. Let me jump out. This is where you got to watch your scale, especially if you like that. It does say it's 375, which I guess it just looks like my scale isn't working for me. I can't remember if I'm locked down. I am locked. It's okay. Keep going. Don't worry about it. I'll clean up this mess over here. Let me see. What I might try to bundle is the ones that are kind of working together here. So this is kind of size and location. So I feel like what I'm going to do is first I'll get these um, to where they're kind of there, and then they're going to come this way. Sorry, I went the other way. That's actually fine. Just move it again. Maybe I'll just move it slightly off. I don't want to get those grips, 0.375. Okay. That's where I want to start this whole mess over here. And I might pull this up just a little bit taller. And this one, I'm going to space away from this one, 0.25. I'm just going to get that away so it doesn't look like that dimension. I just haven't decided if I like this or if I like this better. And then I might tuck these two. These two are working together, size and location. So I might just kind of bundle those on the underside. So maybe I'll switch this one's place here. It's going to be kind of lined up with this, but then over point a quarter of an inch here. So that one gets a little confusing. Gets confusing with that too. So we've got this. So maybe I do like it better here. And then maybe, so just because they're the same dimension, and that's really tricky to see. It's just a mess, really. And yeah, so I've kind of systematically thought about these a little bit. This would be easy to misinterpret for sure. So don't know if this will cut through that arrow. Maybe I would like to see if it will. So if I go to my layout tab here, cut this, like if I could cut this extension line through this. I don't think it really does. It would do the line if they overlap the lines, but I don't think it really will around the arrow. So I might just have this like clash of extension lines through arrow. I think I'm going to leave that though. I just gotta be careful here that I don't do something. Maybe it's better if I try. I'm not gonna do that though, for sure. It's just gonna be this funny little right angle grip here. I might tuck this one in just a little bit. I would just tell people, watch yourself there. Watch yourself. Okay. Here, yeah, I've got those overalls working for me okay, but I got a lot of overlap here. I just moved these out of the way because of the overlap, but it might it might end up being unavoidable. I don't know. Could chop them around it. Let me just think here. Well, for sure, I'm going to clean those up. Those could go up. These I could flip them up over there, and then I could pull these down. Just trying to think if this is better. Down. I don't have the extension lines that, or the dimension lines that way. It's a shame because this thing isn't that great of a dimension, but I do kind of want to keep it. So it kind of goes with this one where I'm saying, well, this is a reference dimension. I definitely feel safe about calling this a reference dimension. And I feel safe about calling this a reference dimension too. My first one's spaced off. This one, this. I think I'm going to move this to the upper side though as well, like this. I gotta clean that up a little bit. What if I do pull this the other way? Does that free up a lot of mess? I mean, it makes a big rectangular extension line, but it does get it off myself here, which is nice. These seem to be clearly kind of separated, a little bit higher maybe there. Is this one better this way? And then just adjust it here. It's not bad. It's better. Yeah, a little clash there, but I can cut through that thing. Of course, this is going to be maybe like this, or a quarter of an inch away from kind of here, right? That's that. Then this should be a quarter, something like that. Clearly out of the way, cutting across. But if I had that, I would probably I'd want to cut this one by that one. I just feel like it's definitely the less important. I cut that too, huh? Or did I already do that or something? Cut this one by this one. Yeah, just let it be chopped up by whatever is it's crisscrossing. This is crisscrossing my two. I'll just chop it by this as well. Then I'm going to chop this one by this one. Heck yeah, let it be all chopped up. It's just kind of a reference dimension anyway. I think I'll space it off though. From this point, right? I think I'm going to still space it 0.375. Yeah, maybe that's the best. Just get them out of the way. They're there, they're reference, they're not clashing with anything else. I can keep these where they were now and kind of do this spacing. Yeah, and then sometimes whatever I use to kind of establish that, I might pull it out to its match its length there. And then this one here, it's gonna go there. I'm gonna use this as a line up here. I'm gonna line these both up. It's close to almost being the right spacing, I think. And then I know I have a dimension line in here somewhere too, somewhere that I'm using. And I know I have some here. I just want to make sure they're not extending out and beyond above and beyond those. It looks like that's good. Um, I don't know. Do I need to cut that around this? I don't know if it'll do that. Cut that around this. I don't think that'll cut that. That's okay. I'm going to leave that extending through. That one I cut. This one I haven't quite cleaned up, I don't think yet. Got the inner dimension here. I don't know, come back away. Roughly 0.375 minimum. I'm a little bit more than that just because I don't want to get that stuck together. And then I'll this be a quarter inch away. Do the same thing depending on how my fits in my kind of how I did this over here. Got that going on right here. And that's okay, I don't think this is too bad. I'll stack it in a little closer. Okay, let's viewport this thing. I'm gonna do a quick save. I've been doing all this pretty dangerously. I have a place to save it. This is a support hanger. Support hanger ortho. I'm gonna call it in class. Save it. Let's jump out of my viewport, take a look here what I got going on. Okay, so let's at least get this thing sized around this one. How big does this end up getting? Only about out to there. Don't need any more than this, looks like. Don't need any more of this than this. I need more off the bottom because of that one big ugly dimension right there. But not that much more, just to there maybe. So get it up out of the title block here. Okay. Let me turn off the grid there so I can look at it here. Okay. There's that. And then I got this one here that I need to bring in closer, or at least size it so I can see what dimensions I've got. Wait, I don't know if I remember. Let me jump back in. I don't think I took care of these yet. No, I don't think so. That thing took me forever. I think I didn't take care of these. Let me get back into my spacing. Two more dimensions here. Oh, wait, why I got two dimensions there? I can't remember why I pulled that and that. I only need one of those if they're the same dimension, pulled from the same points. Yes. Unless something moved on me and I just didn't know what actually moved. Not that I know of. Those are already staggered. You don't have to stagger any more than that, really. I didn't really check staggering here, but I think I generally kind of do that when I. Yeah, that's kind of staggered. Yes. Good. Okay. And then this one I got to get on. Did I do the? I didn't do these. No, that seven, that 3/4 is way too far over. That's better. I'll slightly stagger that one. Do some cutting there. Oh yeah, I definitely didn't handle these because they're not cut. This one I'm going to drop down as low as I can. I can't go too much lower because if I go really steep, I can kind of fit in between. Maybe that's okay. Steepen that up just a little bit, but not much. That's good. I actually liked it where it's kind of like drop down a little bit lower like that. Cut that. Cut this. Use this as the cutter. Sorry, that's a space when I want to do the cutting. Cut this by this. Excellent. I'm just checking these aren't overlapping my center lines. I don't think they are. Nope, they're not. They're not. Okay. Good. Okay, so I think I've addressed that spacing. Now I feel better about like sizing its viewport. I'm gonna get there. We're at the finish line almost. It does take a while to finish it out. I'll be taking that. I mean, I got a little bit more room here. I could choke up on that a little bit more. I'm going to move this over to my left as far as I can, I think, just to avoid that revision block. I can even go further. This thing can come in a ways, huh? Right there. That's a little too close at that point too there on the bottom left. A little bit further over. Sure. Right there. You know me, I'm going to make a layer here. Need an orthographic projection layer on my sheet. Let's make it perfect. Let's draw on that layer. Turn it on. I'll use this as my projection point here. So I'm going to say going to pull that through there. I feel like that my front view's placed pretty close. Well, that ain't good. No, it's not. If I got that auxiliary view coming off here, I got that issue there, huh? I don't know. I'll see if I can fit it. But it's essentially, I'm going to need a couple projection planes here to line up to. Maybe just this one out this way at that 30 degree or at that 120. And then I think I'll drag that through here too. Good. That'll give me something to line that view up with. Let me focus on this one though here. I got to move this viewport by something on the center line of this here, right? And then maybe I got to move it in, I know. Actually fits. Got it there. Maybe I'll leave it there. It's in orthographic alignment. I like it. I need to add a viewport here though. I might just turn off this real quick. So let's add a viewport right here. Wrong layer. Easy to push. Get in there. That's the piece I'm looking for. That's dimensioned. Yes. Needs to be at a 1.5 to 1 scale. Same scale. There it is. I think it's captured there. I'm gonna lock it down in there and then I'll just adjust this viewport a little bit. So let's just not make it be any bigger. These viewports can overlap. Sorry, I didn't mean to dive in. If you double click on the perimeter, it will. I'm just gonna tuck it in as small as it needs to be. I know it overlaps my other viewport and that gets a little bit annoying, but still functions just right. So there it is. If I gotta move that thing though, I'm gonna move it by I don't have this particular piece. So I think I'm going to draw one more on this layer. I'm going to draw this one. Just make sure I'm drawing it on the, I'm out here, not in any viewport. I'm going to draw this line, project it over. I'll do tab over at 120 as well. Tab back and say, no particular length, just something out there. Now I can move that viewport to move it by something that I can align to, this one, to this line here. Then I've got to move it and keep it on my paper, obviously. So I got to move this way. So I show my difficulty of my life here, right? 1.5 is hard to fit. I think I could slide over though. How much can I slide over? I can slide over. I gotta slide it over this much. That's that way, that much. Move it all over. Hey, I've almost got it. Not quite though, huh? Got that much more to go. Seems to me it's gonna be a scale down moment. Let's try it. Just scale just a little bit down. Maybe 1.25 scale. See what it does to my spacing. Let's see if my annotation works. So I'm going to unlock that, go in here. I'm going to build one more new one. Oh, no, not scale to fit. Back up, undo that. I did. Get in here. Build a new scale. Let's do that. Custom way down here. Add. This is a 1.25 to 1. when I'm in here now, I gotta remember to my scale. I might have to change it. I'm just doing a little check in here. 1 1/4 to 1. I don't know if I applied that yet. Sorry. I feel like it sometimes gives me some grief. Okay, there's 1 1/4 to 1. I think my spacing annotated okay. Just gotta watch that pretty carefully. So this one here, I'm gonna unlock and try to push it to 1 1/4 to 1. I should lock that down. I'm gonna jump over to my last viewport. Push it to that 1 1/4 to 1. Yeah, I think so. I got to move my orthographic projection stuff, but I'm gonna lock that down real quick. I'm gonna move those over. Yeah. I'm just gonna move I'll just move them one at a time here. This one I'm gonna move by this point over to here. Repeat that. I'm gonna move this vertical line from here to there. Let's do a move again. This line from here to there. Too many grips coming together there. I still feel like I didn't freaking get it. So let's move this freaking line from this grip. I got too many O snaps on. What the heck? I gotta zoom way in. I cannot mess this up. Move. My heck. Ignorant little thing. Got it though. This one should still line up now. It doesn't quite, so I'm gonna move this viewport. Let me move one more line though before I do. Move this line. Um, I want to snap it to right here, right? So it's oh no, this one was I think it ended up being worthless to me. I really didn't use it. So let me delete it. And got that one lined up, right? I just want to make sure that I did. Yes. So now let me move viewports. This one, move viewport. Yes. This one. This one. In perfect orthographic alignment, where it is to there. Yes, that's now an auxiliary view, partial auxiliary view that's orthographically aligned. And I got one more move. I feel like I got to move this viewport from this center over just to there. Oh, I don't want to repeat it. That's good. I think I got that lined up. Bore to Boris lined up. Now that I've adjusted my scale after I've kind of dimensioned, I got to go back in and just clean these up and make sure I'm not like clipping this anywhere. I'm actually able to reduce the size of this a little bit now. This is only capturing. And so then I got to go in and just make sure that I don't have some conflicts there, my spacing. And then, yeah, this one's resizable too. It fits in the drawing area better now. And this one totally can be resized here, clear back to there. That's the one I see is good. I got some conflicts based off that sizing that. It'll come in off the borderline just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here and do some cleanup here. That's what I don't like. It's just kind of moved on me with that scale changing ever so slightly. So something like that. This has got interference. I don't like that. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Just get away from any crisscrossing lines. These are all that looks okay. What about over here? I think I'm going to pull these away a little bit more. Back out. Just a couple bumps and still catching that. So that's good. Not cutting off anything. Okay, let's turn off this. I've got my orthographic alignment. I'm happy with it. Just turn it off. Sometimes I go to a layer that's on though. Okay, so this one is locked down though. Yes, locked. Okay, this one's locked down. Yep, locked. This one's locked down. Yes, locked. I'm happy with that then. line type issues then now. So let me see. This one's got to go a lot finer. I think I've been liking like 0.25. Mm-hmm. Looks pretty good. Maybe I'll just match that. Get those center lines to break up like a real center line. There we go. Hidden lines look great. I think I'll leave them. Let's jump over here to this one. Yeah, I think the same, 0.25. Looks good. What about this? Should be able to match these properties. There's a center line. This is a center line. This is a center line. Maybe I think that's okay. Oh, these other ones here, though. I'm going to match that one to this one. It's a lot of red on there, huh? Being pulled off center for the most part. Center axis or center plane. I don't know. So what I see. Completest here. So let's complete this. Change that scale to a 1.25. I think that still fits. Could probably use a fraction here too, but I'm just going to keep with my decimals. 1.25. What do I do here? 25 to 1. Apply that. I drew it. On this day, 10, 23, 25. And this was the title that I decided. Port hanger, ortho. I'm going to change the in class once I save it. Apply that. We haven't talked about materials and finishes yet, but we're getting close to starting to talk about them. Doesn't quite, it's there, but it's getting close to getting cut off. I need a little more room in the scale area, I think. I don't use that 1 1/4 scale. I can't say that I ever have, but for whatever reason I decided today I liked it. MR. This one has a little different formats. I'll just stick with that formatting. Like it. Do another save here real quick. I'm just gonna look at the look at the PDF here. Let's take a preview. Yeah, I just take another look at this and I think, do I like it? Is that close? Yeah, it's close. I'm gonna leave it. You guys are probably seeing something that I'm not, but I think I'm close. It's pretty cleaned up. Fits. It's an orthographic alignment. I like it. We call it good. End my meeting. See you on the next one.